All right, good evening. Novak News, myself, Billy, Mark Novak's on air. We are broke back first home buyers. Mission impossible, done possible. Stay tuned for more. Good evening, Mark.
Good evening.
Good evening. We are
Good
talking
evening.
about first home buying on the Northern Beaches in Sydney and how it's been done.
How many times have I heard people say it is impossible, absolutely impossible for kids to buy at the moment? It is a crime. It is unachievable. It is out of control. It is hard. It is $1 million for a two-bedroom unit. I'm hearing it all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's not easy, but it's not impossible.
It's not easy, but it's not impossible. You're a live walking example. Now, there's a couple of hacks, Billy. So there's a couple of ways around it. There's a couple of incentives, and it's actually quite surprising when we're dealing with people at the moment how many people actually don't know about these incentives that are out there.
Yeah, and they're pretty big incentives. I mean, without it, you might be thinking it actually is impossible. But with a bit of help, it's doable, and there's little loopholes to take advantage of.
So let's talk loopholes. So if you're a first home buyer. You might be the age of 20, 25, 30, 35. It doesn't really matter. It's any age, but generally that's where the concentration is.
Yeah.
What qualifies a first home buyer is someone, get this, what qualifies someone for a first home buyer is someone that has not actually got the grant. So this is the first cap off the rank for a hot tip, a real hot tip. If you have bought a property and not claimed the first home buyer grant, and that property you bought was for an investment, you may still be eligible for when you buy your first home for the grant. So it doesn't necessarily mean you haven't bought because you've bought something as an investment that you've killed your grant. So that's a massive one. Not a lot of people know that. Ask the government.
But apart from that, they're all things that are reasonably easy to. You don't have to be Superman to qualify for these things. That you have to be over 18. You have to have not owned or co-owned property in some cases. You need to be looking at a property within a certain price range, but for the majority of people, that's pretty realistic anyway for your first property.
So that property is 650, and then it goes up to, I believe, could be wrong, but check 850. So that's your price ranges. You got to stick. Generally, if you can stick under the 650, it's great. Now, a lot of people are saying it's a stupid price range because in DRURY, for example, there's just nothing under that price range. Even if you hit up to the 7, you're still getting a lot of stamp duty relief.
Yeah, 650. That's where I was looking, and there were literally nothing apart from a few studios, but not much to choose from. So having that scale, like Mark referred to, it's not, the end of the world. If you don't stick under the 650, you're still going to make a huge saving at the end of the day, even if you do go up to 850.
Absolutely. Now, you really felt strongly about talking about a hack where you can get mum and dad to help out, or grandma, grandpa, or uncle, auntie to help you out if they have the ability. Do you want to talk about that? I reckon it's a forgotten one that people don't necessarily know about, or they do know about, they forget it, they don't know how to structure it.
Yeah, it's a process that I'm going through at the moment, Mark, looking to buy my first place, and have a chat with your broker. If you're looking for just a little bit of a leg up, but grandma, grandpa, mum and dad can't give you, 50 G's cash, what you can do is use some equity in the family home as a guarantor against your first home loan. That will essentially give you the difference in your deposit. So where I've found this really useful is that I've got a 5% deposit for probably 650, give or take.
Yep.
However, I can't do 20%. So instead of getting hit with the landlord, the LMI insurance and all that, you can actually use a little bit of equity in the family home to balance it out, and that's given me a bit of a leg up.
So on real life figures, if someone wanted to buy something for 500 grand, and they banks like you to have a 20%, and if you don't have 20%, you've only got 10%. You're missing. I'll say it another way. It's going to be less confusing. If you only have 8%, and the banks want you to top up to 20%, that means you need to find another 12 from somewhere, or pay lender's mortgage insurance. Now, a quick hack, Billy. We were saying that why didn't you get LMI, lender's mortgage insurance? Because there's a grant from the government if you only have a 5% deposit that will top your LMI up. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, look, from my understanding, there's a bit of a process in qualifying for this grant. It's another bit of paperwork that you need to go through. And I think I'm also right in saying there's only a number of spaces allocated each year where the government hands out this grant. So in some cases, it's a little bit of luck that the stars need to align, where you need to have your deposit ready to go. You need to find a property and purchase within I think it's 3 months when you've got the grant. This other method we've talked about, where you get a bit of an equity leg up from the family home, it was more, or it's a lot easier, and it was a lot more in line with my time frame as well when I was looking to move on things.
And guys and girls, if you have any questions tonight, make sure you're on the Novak Facebook account. Throw the questions up. We will answer them for you live. Why? We are dealing with hundreds of buyers every single week, and we watch, we see, we learn what these people are doing, the hacks to actually succeed and to get these properties out there. And the heading tonight was Brokeback Mountain for first home buyers. Their backs are being broken. Prices are crazy at the moment, but there are still people out there constantly buying under this duress, under this stress. Now, can I be this sounds really brutal. For a first home buyer borrowing that sort of money, the repayments, because it's a hell of a lot of money. So people were trained to seeing one-bedroom units for 300,000 or 400,000. Now they're 700,000 or 600,000. They're double in some areas just for a one-bedroom unit. But Billy, the fundamental difference is the repayments are very low. So when I was, if I look back 10 years ago or 8 years ago, yes, the properties were half the price, but the interest rates were double or triple. Yeah. So the actual ability to pay back that loan back then, it's actually easier for that person to pay back the loan today at the current interest rates. But the key lead-in is that's current interest rates. What if they change? Then you're really stuffed.
Yeah, where do you see that going, Mark? Give it 5 years, because you can get your variable rates, or you can get your rates that are fixed term for at least 2 years. That gives you a bit of security, which is nice as well for your first home buyers, because You know, for 2 years, this is what I owe to the bank. This is what needs to come in, and hopefully you're in a position where, with your first with your first property, you can see yourself moving in salary upwards, which is assuring. If you're at that young age of 20, 25, 30, whatever.
Yeah, get a second job, get a third job, rent the property out, do whatever you have to do. But where I am with these fixed interest rates is, I think that if you want to bet against the bank, the bank's always going to win. You know, the house is always going to win. So the analytics, the IP, the smarts behind these big banks, when you do a fixed loan of 5 years or 3 years or 4 years or 2 years, you are betting against the house. I think more often than none that the house will always win. So, yeah, I reckon if you want to do fixed terms and feel safe, warm and fuzzy, great, but you are paying an insurance policy and you do pay a premium for an insurance policy.
Interesting. Can you see them? They can't come down much more though. RBA announced, I think, the lowest interest rate in history, full stop, ever.
1.59 I saw was a Greater New South Wales bank or someone doing the other day, which was the official cheapest interest rate out there in the market. Look, I think if you really want to understand what rates are doing, watch the fixed term rates. And I think if you really want to understand what the interest rates are doing, watch the long term bond market. You know, the 10-year bond market. And that's going to give you a really good idea of where rates are going to go, because these are the big institutional end of town bets. The educated, the super educated guys on money. They're wrong as well sometimes though. But yeah, I reckon on balance that's probably the thing to watch. And I reckon we're going to be a pretty low interest rate environment for a while.
Yeah, and in that time, keep chipping away. Branca, senior property management, the unicorn, as Mark refers to, she says it's just a savings account. Just imagine it as your savings account. Keep chipping away, keep building that little bit of equity, and eventually you'll be in a position to reevaluate in a few years' time, and then you do a bit of a review.
Another thing, people don't know that first-home buyers don't know that they can use their super contributions towards a deposit for a property. Do you understand how that works?
Talk us through it. Is it self-made contributions that you can pull out, or is it all of your super that you can pull out?
The first. So what happens? Yeah. So what happened is the government worked out. They're going, these poor guys are trying to save for a deposit for a home. We want to help them. Now, what we normally do is say you have to pay 30% tax on the money. And this is not financial advice. This is just basically the different avenues that you've got to get assistance as a first-home buyer. Speak to an accountant, your accountant. Speak to a solicitor. Find out what's best for you. But we're just going to give you the avenues. And an avenue is the super. And where I got the bum steer on the super is I just thought that first-home buyers can just go grab their super and go and spend it. Not the case. What the government wants you to do is, if you have savings, you have to pay tax on that savings when you pull it out. So it may be 30 cents in a dollar, for example. The government says, well, it's really clever actually. They say instead of taking the savings out, paying 30% tax, and then putting that savings in your bank account or in your pocket, keep your savings in your super. So if you've saved 10 grand, just throw it over to your super, and they won't charge you the 30% that we're talking about as a voluntary contribution per year. It's close to, I think it's close to, I won't quote what it is, but it's a fractional zero of paying your 30% tax. Now, if you do that for 2 years in a row or 1 year in a row and you've got a good wad there, we'll help you use that towards your purchase. So guys and girls, talk to your accountant about using your super contributions as a deposit for a property.
Yeah, it's a big one. I had to read over that. Obviously, just do your research. Make sure you can pull it out when you need it. You don't want to get stuck.
Absolutely.
Do your own research, but definitely a good one. And if you can avoid a third of your money going elsewhere, that's huge.
Huge.
It's like
it's a lot of firepower.
It's like getting a pay rise. Third of your salary.
Yeah, it's straight over. It's straight over into your account, and it's going to get you there 30% faster.
Yeah, it's a big one.
3 times. Yeah, it's huge. All right, so we talked about super. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say another one is making sure you've got some of your trusted people aligned before you go into war. It's tough.
I like that one.
It's tough when you're in there and you're scrounging around. Like as an example, Mark helped me out. I think it was 8 o'clock at night, and I'd found something I'd really liked. This really nice apartment. And I said, I really want to jump on this. Here's my deposit. I'm ready to go financially, but I don't have a conveyancer. I don't have a solicitor. Who's going to check the contract? If you're in a position to get those things ready to go, or just have an idea of who you're going to have look over those documents, that's big, because when you're moving quickly, 24 hours, that could be deal or no deal.
It could be. So broker, you had a really good broker.
Yeah.
Solicitor, you had a really good solicitor. Everyone's different, but everyone's got that, and this is probably more important. For instance, like yourself, if you had mum and dad against you, so you need your allies, you need your friends, you need your mentors, you need that. So I know we're talking about finding properties, getting grants and stuff like that, but find a friend. Yeah. Find a friend in this whole process that has this common ground with you, that can help you, that can talk you through. But hopefully they've done it before. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That sort of, that may be dad or that may be mum, but that person that's just going to give you that sort of push when you need that push. Very, very important, and a little bit spiritual, but it's not all about grants and government and banks and stuff like that. It's just that little person to give you that little bit of a nudge, to help you, that knows what they're doing, that gives you that confidence.
Yeah, it's big. But the speed, when it comes down to it, you'll be sitting on your couch and in the background that you're sort of ready to go, or you think you're as ready as you can be. And then when it's time to go, it really is go. And it changes very quickly from I was actively looking to now I've found something and everyone's involved, contracts are flying, text messages, late night calls, everyone's on.
How'd you feel?
Buzzing. Can't speak too soon. It's not done until it's done, but watching the listing change from for sale to under contract it's pretty big.
Was it the hardest thing you've ever done?
No, I'd say the hardest thing is in a funny way saving for it and knowing that it's coming, but you have to stay on top of it. And then when you look back 3 years and you can see this is where all the salary's gone, all the casual work that I've done, a full year of full-time employment, then you're like, wow. But yeah, it's It's not challenging. I think it's very black and white. It's an easy process to follow. It's more emotional. And that's from a real estate agent. That's, it's supposed to know what he's doing, even in the buying process.
Yeah. What were the lessons that you say someone's out there and they want to do this, irrelevant to the age? What would be the things that you've turned around and sort of thought, man, I wish I knew that earlier, or I just wish I could extend a hand out and help people? Like, what would that be that you'd tell people from the first home buyer journey you've been on? Because you've gone into a firecracker of a market at a very young age. You're really walking the coals. What do you learn?
I think the biggest one would be making sure you've got good people around you just to give you the nudge when you need it, or just to give you the advice when you need it. That's probably the biggest one. Before you start, there's actively looking, and then there's looking and putting offers in. I think there's a big difference. I was actively looking at one point, still with my deposit, but I was still saving on that deposit. I wasn't actively looking to the point where I put an offer in. Putting an offer in is a big one. We spoke about it before with Lisa. You can put an offer in and you're not obligated to do or go through with anything until you reach a certain point, obviously. But putting an offer in, getting an idea where people are, the other parties are sitting. I got an offer accepted slightly below what was being advertised. And what I got told was, if you put an offer in at this number, you'll get offer accepted. And I went slightly below that. And unfortunately, they were willing to consider. That's a big one. Make an offer. Don't always go.
Yeah, what about a dry run, like making an offer and not getting the property? Do you reckon that was a good process for you? Did that galvanise you a little bit for this time around? Do you know what I mean?
I was looking to buy.
You had another property that you had, yeah.
Yeah, I was looking to buy off the plan. And Mark took me through the showroom. I loved it. It was exactly what I was looking for. Brand new. It couldn't get any sexier. But it was too quick. I think I knew it was too quick. And then looking back and knowing that if I just put the name on the contract, I would have been, already making money through capital growth over the last 6 months, Mark, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have been up, probably 50 G's. That was a bit of a kick in the teeth. But I think looking back on that...
Do you reckon that... Was that the kick up your ass you needed, though? Like, was that a good thing?
It was, I think it gave me a tester of how serious it gets at the end. It's all well and good to say you're looking at property, actively looking, you have a deposit sitting there, but it gets pretty serious very quickly. And that changes within the space of about 30 minutes from when you walk in the property to saying, I'm actually going to put an offer in.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah.
Mate, I think we've taught some first home buyers some stuff tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, if you love this, like it, share it, comment, let us know if you do, and getting that out to friends and family who need this information. Super important.
Yeah, the equity
coming from two real estate.
Equity. Leverage off your family and friends if you can, because not everyone has the money to physically give you cash, but they might have the equity in the family home to just give you a leg up. But you're not actually having to give them any money. You're just having a bit of faith in them.
And not only that, there's that IP equity where people, just to have that confidence and get behind first home buyers, share your journey with them, help them on their journey. Very important. So, having your family to trust you is great with dollars and cents equity, but having people, friends and family trust you with their time to help you go through that journey is super important. Good lawyer, you've talked about tonight. Good broker, you've talked about tonight. Government incentives, we've talked about tonight, and there are a plethora of them. Low interest rates, we've talked about tonight. Fixed interest rates, we've talked about tonight. Your journey, we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, take advantage of it. It's there to be taken advantage of. It's not there to look pretty.
And it's honest. You know, it's you know, at the end of the day, your your first home is a great thing, and if you can do that for your financial freedom, for your financial future, so good, so good.
Yeah, it's the best thing. Yeah, practice what you preach. Just get it done. Just get it done.
All right, bud. I think that's a wrap. Thank you very much for sharing a little bit of your life tonight, Billy, about what you've done lately. I know it's a stressful thing to go through and even talk about, and mate, you've done well. But hopefully, you've helped someone. We've helped someone in sharing your journey. And broke back first home buyers, don't stress. It's always stressful. It was for your parents. It will be for yourself, and it will be for your kids. And the prices will just keep on going up as the generations get older. So, so suck it in and buy.
Ciao.
See you guys.